So, this is going to be what if issei, hero, not sure if I'm saying that right, was betrayed. This is going to be blood, violence, and cursing. This is a 13 plus video, just a warning. So, we start out after the time where issei beats Riser Phoenix. Issei wakes up in his house, gets dressed, and goes to school. But on the way there, other students are giving him a hateful and disgusted glare at him. And Issei could feel it. He's wondering what he did. He starts going to school. He makes it to school. And he sees everyone still looking at him like he's the disgusting person of the world. The trash of the world. And he sees his two friends, the two perverts, forget their names. He walks up to them and says, "Hey guys," and they just say, "We know we're perverts, but we would never take it that far." And he's like, "Wait, what?" And them two say, "We know what you did to Reed Screamer. Never talk to us or be near us again." And they start walking away. Issei starts going to class, wondering what he actually did. And this guy was walking, but someone pulls him into another room. He gets thrown to the floor. Then he sees a bunch of other dudes. Sorry about that. And he's like, "What the hell's this about, Issei?" And the dudes say, "How dare you rape Rhea Scrimmery?" And they start beating the shit out of him, punching him, kicking him, stomping on his balls. I mean, literally stomping on them. This man is feeling so much pain. When the bell rang, they left. The warning bell. To get to class. They left. Issei had bruises, blood coming off of him, black eye, a broken rib, some broken ribs, bruises all of them. But thanks to Drag, he has a healing factor. And he slowly starts recovering. He heads to class, and the teacher says, "Issei, you're late." Even the teacher's looking at him with a dirty glare. And he's like, wasn't my fault." And he says, "I don't care. Detention after school." So Issei gets to his seat, and notice, when he sits down, there's a bunch of tacks under there. So he hurts his ass. And he says, "Ow, what the fuck?" And he looks around and he sees some people laughing. He starts wiping the tacks off, and they start their lesson. Time skip. It's almost the end of class. The teacher says, "I need to go do something," while looking at the other students. And she says, "I'll be gone," and the cameras are off. She walks out. Everyone goes to Issei and throws him down. Gets him, throws him down over the desk. And his entire class starts beating him up. Except for the peerage, they're not here at the time. So it's after class now. Lunchtime. He's already healed because of his healing factor. He starts walking to lunch. But when he got in there, there was no seat open for him. So he goes to that tree outside under the shade. He starts eating, but then the Kendo Club comes out. All their wooden swords. And the pink-haired girl, I'll get her name later, says, "How dare you, disgusting pervert, you scum to humanity. Right, Rhea Scrimmery." The entire Kendo Club starts beating him with their practice knives, throwing him into his face, into his food, spitting on him, kicking his balls. Issei's wondering why this is happening, and he realized everyone's saying he raped Rhea Scrimmery. So another time skip after school. I know he has a detention, so after that, he gets a call from Rhea Scrimmery. And she says, Issei, what are these rumors about you raping me? And Issei in his head is thinking, why is she just calling me now? In Isai's head, and he says, no, not an idea why they're saying. And she says, meet me at the fountain. So Issei is walking to the fountain, but he starts realizing something, talking to Drag. And he starts realizing something. Rias was watching him when he was at Yuma. That's the only reason she would have got those photos, and Drag is helping him figure this out. So, while walking there, he's figuring out Rias let him die. But he keeps walking. And when he gets to the fountain, he sees Rias, and he says, Rias, what are these rumors about you saying I raped you? And she says, Issei, I do not know what's happening. And Issei says, cut the bullshit. Rias was shocked that he cussed at her. And she says, what do you mean? He says, you let me die here, didn't you? And he's just like, no. And he says, yes, you did. How other would you get those photos? How would you know about everything? And he is mad. And Rias looks down, but then puts her head back up, smiling, and says, so the little boy finally figures it out. And she starts laughing like a mad woman. And she says, you really thought I liked you? Pathetic piece of shit like you. Don't make me laugh. I finally allowed you to join my parents to get me out of the arranged marriage. Issei is shocked even more. It continues as I only used you, but now I don't need you. But I'm gonna need that dragon of yours, that secret gear of yours. He says, like, hell no. But before anything, he felt a huge shock behind him and fell to the floor, slowly going unconscious. And he sees Akano. Time skip. He's in hell. He's chained up in a room. And he sees everyone in his peerage at the time. Rias, Akano, Kiba, Asuya, and Konako. And he's like, guys, help me. Rias has gone insane, and Kiba says, how dare you say that about Lady Rias? And starts holding the sword. Rias says, no, don't, Kiba. I have plans for him. Issei sees Asuya, and he says, Asuya, please help me. And she says, Issei, and starts running over him nicely. And tries to undo the locks on him. He says, thank you, Asuya. I knew you would believe me. And she says, psych. Starts walking back and saying, Asuya. She gives him a seductive, not really seductive, but more evil smile. He says, you really thought I was going to help you. He said, Asuya, why are you... And she says, I was never on your side, He says, but I saved you. Saved your life. And she says, that was all planned. Rhea starts walking up to us and Rhea says, Asuya was an undercover agent in the church for us. Getting info. Why else do you think she healed that devil? This shocks Issei. And her other mission was to get close to you. Any information she could. You see, Issei, you were being played from the beginning. And you never knew. This shocks Issei. He starts crying. He says, how fucking dare you? And Rias keeps going on and says, the entire time it was all planned for me and my brother and my father. We were planning to get out of that marriage no matter what we could do, but we needed someone strong. And we had to make them seem like they were in love with me. And it shocks issei. But he starts seeing Akano walk up to him with a row, with a cart, little tools. Then Akano says, Rias, I got everything you wanted. And Issei goes and picks up a dagger and says, good. Issei says, what are you going to do with that? And Rias says, don't worry, we're going to be taking that secret gear of yours. But first, we're going to torture you to break that will of yours. Issei is shocked by this. Akano gets on her knees and grabs his secret gear hand. It's on the secret gear right now, in the human form. She starts sucking on his finger, licking it just like in the show. But then she bites down and tears off his pointing finger. Issei screams out in pain. She spits out and says, disgusting. But your pain is making me feel so good. And Issei screaming out in pain. Then Rias grabs a bat and slams it right into his knee, breaking it. Issei screaming out even more. And crying too. Then Kiba, then they start slicing and hitting. But after a while, Rias is done hitting him with the bat. Then they tie up his hands and hit him on a hook, hanging him by his hands up. And he says, little Akano, Rias, and he sees Akano, no wait, Konako, Konako walk up to him. She has her gloves on, and she has this way, get you filthy pervert, and starts punching him in the gut. Ruthlessly, in the face, the balls, the legs, everywhere. And Kiba runs up to him. Now it's Kiba's turn. He pulls out his sword, a holy sword, and starts cutting him. Issei is screaming out in pain. Then he's thrown into a thing of water, where Akano electrocutes him with holy lightning, even more pain to him. Then he's thrown into a prison cell. But thanks, and they all leave. Thanks to Issei's healing factor from drag. And right now he's missing a finger, multiple broken bones, multiple cuts from a holy weapon. If you've seen the anime, actually XD, you'll know what that looks like. And stab wounds. Thanks to drag, he's healing very slowly. But every day until then, they try to tear out his sacred gear. But Issei came up with a plan. He knows he's too weak to do anything right now. So he starts training. Tries to start doing push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, all he can to make his body in shape to use Drag's full power. Drag explained to him if he can get his body in shape, he'll be able to use Drag's power to the max. But he needs his body in shape. So the next day, Issei is tied to a cross. His arm, with the sacred gear, slowly is getting cut off with the holy sword by Kiba. Akano holds him down. Is holding him. Not really holding, but electrocuting him. To make it even more painful experience, Wingo. Asia is slightly healing all of his body parts to keep him alive as long as possible. So they still need him alive to extract it. They cut off the goblet and have it, but they're not done with Issa yet. They throw him in prison. They think they have drag. They don't. They just have his arm that's been turned into the dragon. Issei has one arm now. And now he starts doing training with one arm. Doing pull-ups, push-ups, and he's still heavily hurt. Cuts, bruises, broken bones. He can't even stand by himself anymore. And he's doing this. He's coughing up blood. This man has cried so much. He's crying blood while doing this. He's crying blood while trying to make himself stronger. And you might be thinking, oh no, Akano healed him. No, not Akano. Asuya healed him. Asuya only healed him enough so he could stay alive. This man has been through torture. He is still training. His hair has been getting longer. The next day, they get back to the daily grind. This man has been in so much pain. He can't even cry. He's crying nothing but pure blood. They get Rias is now throwing her destruction beams at him, causing huge skin damage on all over his body. His face everywhere. Half of his face is skull. You can see it. But Asuya, thanks to her healing, is keeping him alive. But he won't regrow a limb. But while she was healing him, he headbutts her and breaks her nose. And she says, "You little shit," and starts healing her own body. She says, "You'll pay for that," and grabs a dagger and slams it right in his right eye. Then pulls it out. He is screaming. He lost an eye and an arm, and he's in a lot of pain. But this does not stop Issei. Drag is helping him heal, even though he's just one-armed, one-eyed. But he's still training, and in his cell, he has chains on him that are draining his magic, so we cannot use it. But he's still doing push-ups and pull-ups. Out of the 3 days, he has not slept or eaten, and still, all the torture as well. But he still is training himself. He is exhausted and everything. He can barely move now on the third day after his torture. But then Akano walks in.